Welcome everyone to the regular board meeting for the Sunrise School Division Board of Trustees for May the 19th. My name is Paul Mangan, I'm the board chair. I'm going to call our meeting to order, and can you please stand if you can do so, and we're going to have O Canada by Hazel Ridge School. Thank you to Hazel Ridge School. I'm going to ask Trustee Boyton to read out our tree acknowledgement, please.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thank you, Trustee Boyton. Before we get underway, I'm just going to make some introductions to the people that are listening online. To my left is Superintendent Reed. We also have Secretary Treasurer Jody Thiessen, our Assistant Superintendent Lars Spielberg. We have Trustee Rowan, Trustee Rowland, Trustee Smith, Trustee Boyton, Trustee Wilson. We have Sarah Scott, our Executive Secretary, and we have Trustee Harris as well with us tonight. You're going to hear from our Finance Manager, Matthew Bialik. And Sarah, did you do that, put the Rowan and Roland together so that I'm going to go ahead and have a good time tonight? Thank you for going ahead and doing that. And we are missing one trustee tonight. We're missing Trustee Dent. So as we vote, there'll be 7 votes that we'll be counting for our to pass motion. So I'm going to adopt the agenda. Be it resolved that the board the approved agenda. I need to move in a seconder. Moved by Trustee Wilson, second by Trustee Boyton. Any comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 7-0. Thank you. Chair's comments. A reminder that if you have any questions and you're online, please send all your questions to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca. Put your name and address of the sender included in the email. And at the question and answer period later on in the evening, we'll get to your questions. This is the time that we open up to sharing a story. Are there any stories that want to be shared? Trustee Wilson.
On Wednesday, May 13th, I attended the Lactabani Senior School Parent Advisory Council meeting. And although the PACT has only been in operation for a few months, they've been extremely active and busy. Some of the PACT planned events include a movie night, Staff Appreciation Week, Parent Council, Student Pancake Breakfast, a Student Parent Paint Night in conjunction with Mother's Day, and a big plant sale, and a dance. There was a discussion about implementing several ideas gained from the divisional PACT meeting, such as having a Staff of the Month and including student input. The meeting ended with a discussion of the 2026-27 school year goal planner, a monthly calendar of planned events, and they were expressing their appreciation to some of the ideas that Trevor provided at the divisional meeting.
Thanks, Trustee Wilson. Trustee Boyton?
So recently I had the pleasure of attending both ArtSpeak and Youth Parliament. At ArtSpeak, the performance Sound and Silence showcased incredible art displays alongside powerful and dynamic drumming. The creativity and talent on display were outstanding. At Youth Parliament, I witnessed a gymnasium full of students debating the Dressing Up Starts Today Act, or they called it DUST, a proposal that would prohibit appearing unpresentable in public, including items such as pajama pants, sweatpants, slippers, Crocs, open-toed shoes, socks with sandals, and Uggs. The debate was energetic, thoughtful, and highly entertaining. Both events highlighted students who took risks, demonstrated confidence, and shared their talents and skills in remarkable ways. Thank you to all the participants as well as the dedicated organizers who worked so hard to make these events such a success. From now until the end of the school year, Sunrise School Division will be buzzing with activities. If you have the opportunity, I encourage you to check them out. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you, Trustee Boyton. Trustee Rowan?
I had the opportunity to attend the Sunrise Youth Parliament as well last week. I was very impressed with the students as I listened to them debate motions. I think it's a great program for the students to practice both their public speaking skills and their advocacy. I also just wanted to mention that if you're in Oakbank on May 30th for the Chicken Days Parade, you should keep your eye out for the Oakbank Parents for Ukrainian Education Families. They plan on putting a float in for a second year to bring attention to the Ukrainian program in the Oakbank schools.
Thanks, Trustee Rowan. Anyone else? Trustee Smith?
I was able to attend the second last night of Midsummer Night's Dream at Edward Schreyer School. It was musical. It was very well attended, and parts of it were quite funny. It was very well put together. I attended the spring tea at Beaujeu Early Years, which is always, I believe it's been on for well over 25 years. And it's a wonderful event, and I got to see Trevor and Jody there as well. And I also got to go to the 10th Annual Youth Parliament. I love watching because they have different grades there, so you get to see the different opinions of the younger grades speaking against the older grades and their different opinions. And it's very moving to see the way their brains work and kind of go against each other. And at the end, I got to get my picture taken with the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister. So it was very nice.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Anyone else? So go ahead, Mr. Spielberg.
It was a busy week last week, Youth Parliament. I think it was maybe on the same day as Unified Sport Day, and the clouds parted and the sun shone down. It was a great day. Special thanks to Lorinda Bradley, did a lot of work to that, but she wasn't the only one. Jody Wilgosh did a lot of help in planning and organizing, and the team from Edward Schreyer with a bevy of volunteers, and Carly Rexealer and Pamela Penner helped out there, and it was another great day. It was the fourth one. We added a podium this year. Kids were very excited. It was another great day. Yeah.
Thanks, Lars. Anyone else? So thanks, Trustee Boyton, for pointing out that there's going to be a ton of activities going on in the school division, and whether it's in drama plays at Edward Schreyer, to sports days that are going on, to our youth parliament, to a number of things. Kudos to all of our staff for putting that together, and our schools and our students, because there's some excellent talent that's out there. If you get a chance to get into your schools, try to get into your schools, because there's some really good things that are going on. I did have a chance on Monday, May the 11th, the PD Day, to get out to Springfield Collegiate, and I got a tour of the weight room. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. So kudos to the people that put all that together to work for that. I know there was lots of conversation with it, but nice work certainly to everybody that's there. So thanks for sharing a story with us. We have a board, not a board delegation, we have a presentation tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Jody, to introduce Matt.
Yeah, thanks. So tonight is the finance side of all our board presentations. So here we have tonight Matt Bialik, I'm finance manager for the school division. His job is very important. He, much like myself, cannot make any mistakes. We have to be very accountable for all the numbers that we put together. And I just want to say to Matt, good job. We submitted the year-end preliminary or year-end March 31st financials onto the province on time. And a lot of, in March, we take basically 2 fiscal periods and combine them to match the provincial year-end. And for some people in that role of finance manager or secretary treasurer, it could get overwhelming because you're taking parts from last year and parts from this year, and then you do a whole bunch of analysis and understand why there was more money or less money that was spent. And Matt does a great job keeping on top and letting me know of all the hot topics. So I've also received a lot of great feedback from schools just with Matt and the finance team getting back to the staff at the schools when it comes to a secretary with a question or a principal. So so he's doing great work with the team back at the business office. But tonight we get to talk and learn about a new initiative that took place about a year ago, School Cash Online, and I'll pass it over to Matt now.
Thanks, Julie. Appreciate that. Yeah, tonight I'm going to talk about School Cash Online, which this is the first school year we've implemented it. Been some hiccups, been some good things. We'll discuss some of them tonight. So on the agenda, there's a quick overview, discussion on some adoption rates, discussion on some revenue expenses, some efficiencies we're seeing, we hope to see more of, some challenges we've seen in year one, and then some future initiatives or hopefully solve some of the challenges and increase some adoption rates. Quick overview, School Cash is a software that allows us to accept online payments, credit, debit, e-check. I believe Apple Pay and Google Pay are available as well now. Schools can create items with needed information. For example, field trip with description, details, prices, options such as a lunch, no lunch, transportation information. They have the ability to attach permission forms to items, medical, transportation approval, waivers, whatever it may be. The payments from the software flow directly into the Vision Bank account, and then parents can create accounts, attach their students, and then when an item is attached to a student, the parents will see what they owe or what the description of the item on their account. So adoption rates. So adoption rates is the amount of students registered, amount of parents who's attached their students, divided by total students per cab in the school. For example, in NOLA's, if you see in the top right, I know it might be hard to read, but in NOLA 68 students registered divided by 205 is 33%. We have a range of adoption rates from 2% to 96% about. And the reason behind the differences in these adoption rates, a few reasons. One, demographics. Some communities were more wanting online payments, more willing to pay online payments. So we'll see more community engagement from those. Practices of the school, you see PowerView at 2%, it screams being low, but if you look at PowerView, they don't charge a lot of student fees, they don't charge fees for field trips. So if you're not having fees a lot for the students, you're not going to need the program as much. I believe the 8 students, they had a ski trip that they received some payments and set up online. So that's one of the differences, and also willingness of the school. Some schools jumped right in, engage with School Cash, set stuff up right away, whereas some schools were more hesitant to start the year, and it's gaining steam now, and we look to improve as year 2 comes around. Ways to increase adoption rate, continuous training and having discussions with schools. Discussing with schools what they're hearing from the community, what they're comfortable with, what's the pros, what's the cons, what's taking more time than it used the old way, what's saving time, and then developing ways to make them feel more comfortable, because as they feel more comfortable, they create more items, they engage with the community, they push a little more, the adoption rates will climb. revenue and expense. As you can see in this little image, this is what's flowing through the division so far up until April 30th. We took in about 120,000 through the system, and we paid 5,000 in fees, which is roughly 4.25%, which is what was communicated to us in the contract with CAB. Types of items that these payments would be flowing: field trips, student fees, sports fees, music trips, lunches, items like that. An adoption rate doesn't always correlate to dollar amount. If you see on the last slide, there was Dougal, Gillis, OBE, who had 95, 96% adoption rate, but not the same amount of dollars flowing through as the ESS or SCI or SMS. It's basically what items. The smaller schools might only be student fees, field trips, $5, $10, $15, whereas some of our high schools or larger schools have ski trips, band trips, sports fees, which are multiple $100s, which contribute to the large dollar bills you see there. I think 120 grand for year one's encouraging. It shows that there is a need in the communities, in our schools, for online payments. And as we get into year 2 and year 3, and we hopefully see schools get more comfortable, or us ourselves get more comfortable, these numbers will rise. Some efficiencies we see. Secretary time can be decreased when paid online, as the payments flow directly to the Vision Bank accounts. This means less cash handled, less chance for cash to be lost, payments being marked for the wrong person, reduces time traveled to a bank to make the deposits, less mileage paid to the employees who are making those deposits. Basically, when paid online, every couple weeks I'll make a journal entry through an Excel sheet I created, 30 minutes every 2 weeks, so it's about an hour a month. It's not much at all. And then secretaries are also able to run reports through the software: who has paid, who hasn't paid, completed forms. If there's options for a field trip, such as lunch or multiple lunches, they can see who selected what. And then also my finance officer time's decreased, because when you have manual deposits, she will enter journal entries when she receives support from the school. That no longer needs to be done if I'm uploading the journal entry. Forms and payments cleared online, less sending back and forth with students, less chance for a teacher gives a student a form and it gets lost on the way to the parent. Parent gives student money in forms, gets lost going back to the school. That can all be controlled through the online payments, form completion by the parent. Some challenges we're seeing with the system, or with the, I call it being half in, half out, and that's when schools will create an item, receive online payments, and then receive checks and cash in person, but tracking manually instead of tracking it through the system. And the reason that can cause challenges is because now secretaries have to keep their own manual report, run a report through the system, see who's paid online. This can lead to confusion, which increases secretary time, which isn't what our goal is of the system. And then resistance to change and a learning curve, which are kind of similar. It's a new system. Whenever creating a new system, it can increase time originally or initially because you have to learn. So there is some resistance. I'm comfortable in my old way. This is taking me longer. Maybe I'll revert to the old way, but there are some efficiencies we can gain in the long run or after the learning's done. And again, that's just continuous training hopefully can help mitigate some of these challenges. And then fees. Fees are always going to be a challenge. Communicated to parents, communicated to schools, who's covering the fees to schools, the parents, challenges such as that. Some future initiatives that can hopefully solve some of these problems is, I'm in the process of creating best practice training documents. These are from a combination of the CAV training we received, questions I received from secretaries, the CAV knowledge base that they provide, their best practice documents, consolidating them, making this something that a secretary or a new secretary can read, can understand, feel more comfortable with the system. Some of these documents include the deposit methods, how to record deposits, what's the best way in certain situations, best practice creating items, do we have templates for creating items so it's quicker and you just have to fill in the relevant information to a template, when to waive fees, when to void fees, when to attach items as required or optional, what reports to run depending on what information you're needing. And then discussions at Secretary PD also is something I'm going to have. Positive and negatives of year one, what challenges are you finding, what's saving you time, what's costing you time, what you'd like to learn more of. Maybe have a discussion with secretaries, what different schools are doing, try and consolidate it to be more consistent. Teacher read-only access is one. Secretaries are having to run reports for teachers to see who's paid for field trips, see who they need to collect from. There's lots of requests. Can teachers run those reports on their own? I'm happy to, just as long as we can restrict the teacher access a little bit so they can't enter stuff depending what they can see. And we are able to. It's just something I'm looking into to fine-tune before rolling it out. And then on Thursday, we have an annual meeting with CAV, Jody, and myself, where they discuss some efficiencies or some new things they are developing. So hopefully that can also help us in a way. And that's about it on my quick presentation about CAV. So is there any questions from anybody?
Thanks very much, Matt. Any questions for Matt? Trustee Smith.
You were mentioning fees. So are there fees for the users on top of the payments, or can the fees get passed on to the schools?
For now, we have led it up to the school who they're passing on, but they can either, when they set up the item, they can bake the fees in, or they can cover those fees themselves, depending on what they want to do. It would be 4%, which is a credit card merchant fee, and then 10 cents goes to CAV, and then there's GST and PST on the 4%. So on $5, what's 4%? It would be like 25 cents for a $5 item. Yes. Well, the merchant fees go towards whoever CAV uses as a merchant, who their credit card fees, and then 10 cents goes to the product of CAV.
Sorry, it was just a little bit hard to hear. So 4%, like a credit card fee, is applied to the transaction, and you're saying currently the school is, well, it's not the division, it's staying at the local level. Either they pass $5.25 on to the parents. And then did you say like the 10 cents for the CAV, is that a fixed flat rate, or that's a percentage as well?
10 cents is the fixed flat rate. So if it's 100 or 5, it's 10 cents to CAV, yeah.
And is like that fee going to be changing? Do we have a contract on that? Is 10 cents for how long are we in a contract?
I believe it's a 3-year contract, right? And it's 10 cents for the duration of that contract.
Trustee Smith.
Sorry. And this is only for anything to do with the school's fees. It has nothing to do with packs, much lunches. They have to do their own thing. Yes.
If PAC handles that, then that's separate. We can receive, not including that 120 grand, there was about 3 grand of donations received, because people can't go donate online, so that's additional. But yeah, PAC has much lunches
just thinking a bit further, sorry, 4% like a credit card fee. So if I'm e-transferring $5, or I have $5, I want to e-transfer, I'm going to be paying my dollar fee at my bank. And where does that 4% go?
I believe that 4% goes to the merchant that KEP uses to accept their credit card fee. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of this, a lot of it is the merchant fee. So whatever transaction or the company that they use to accept online payments or credit cards, that fee goes towards it. So even e-transfers, there's different fees, but we've negotiated one flat fee because there are some credit card companies out there that would charge like 6%, and those reward cards are usually a higher percentage than the regular merchant fee. So it's a blended total of 4.25.
Anyone else? So Matt, my question is, what's the goal? What's the goal? And maybe Jody, this is a you and Matt question. What's the goal about the online cash? What's a home run to you?
Yeah, I think when schools brought it to our attention a long time ago, it was just make it easier for them. Make it more efficient, more effective for secretaries to spend less time tracking down a pile of money that a teacher just gave them and said, here's the list and here's who paid. It was what could be easier for them to do. So there are benefits from doing that kind of online payment system. Having more people adopt it will make it more efficient. There are going to be, some people that aren't able to do it. We recognize there's going to be individuals in our communities that just won't be able to adopt that. There are going to be some other found efficiencies that we found. CUPE just negotiated a new fixed kilometer without forcing anybody to leave the school building. They now save on mileage costs because we can adopt 100% for payments. Nobody's going to the bank. So ideally, to have something in the 80% adoption rate, to see that would be great. We've seen some of it for some of the items that they have purchased. It'll be the training piece and building confidence with the staff. And I know working with CUPE 4456, the secretary group, who are the main users of this for setup, I think in our conversations going forward, they know that they're not alone, that we're going to help them and help them with the adoption.
Thank you. Trustee Harris?
Where is KEV based? Where are they from?
I believe they're a U.S. company, but there's lots of school divisions in Canada who use them. There's some Manitoba ones who use them as well. I know Louis Riel uses them. I can't name any others off the top of my head, but I know there's a few.
Yeah, to follow up with that, so some of the things we were concerned about is where's the business from and where are the servers stored in. So the servers are found in Canada, but the company itself is US. At the time when we did the RFP, there were no Canadian companies that we could utilize.
So the only cost we're paying to KEV is 10 cents a transaction. There's no other annual cost for using their software.
No, we also pay our annual contract cost, $25,000, I think, roughly. Yeah.
And how many transactions? You have numbers here of number of the uptake on it and so on. How many transactions does that represent? Those numbers.
Sorry. We have unlimited transactions, yes. I don't know how many transactions off the top of my head. It would be quite a bit, like thousands. I could find that information for you, I just don't know it off the top of my head. Okay.
So, no.
On your efficiency slide, you mentioned that you're saving time because you're only doing 30 minutes, an hour a month, and the finance manager is saving time. Does Jody let you go home early because of these efficiencies?
Trustee Smith.
My question was, will the schools have terminals available for parents if needed?
There is terminals at every school. There's 1 or 2 at every school, terminals that you can go in and pay, yeah.
So to put it, plainly, is that it's about us trying to avoid accepting $120,000 of cash and having somebody come, and I can tell you this happened to me lots in my career, where somebody dumped a bunch of money on a table and the secretary went, oh my gosh. And so really that's what it's trying to avoid. It's trying to make it easier for parents, but it's also us trying to for us to handle less cash. We're still going to handle some, but if we can, the idea, the goal is that you can get to about 80% of less of doing that, then it's again, probably a lot more efficient for us. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Cash can be lost, not purposely, but on accident. It takes a long time to count cash too, so the less cash is better. And I also think, my understanding is, it might have been a little before my time and not discussions, but my understanding is there was communities that wanted us to be able to accept online payments, so it's also catering to them as well.
Well, it's clear by the uptake some communities have really adopted it, so good. Okay, separate question totally. You got 3 minutes to tell us what the day in the life of Matt Bialik when he goes to work.
Depends on the time of the month. Like my days for April and May were getting March year-end completed, so that would be my day basically the whole time. I still have to review some payroll, review some payables, review month-end. But it depends on the time of the year. In the summer, it's preparing for June year-end. February, it's T4s. Second, third week of the month, it would be reviewing month-end, getting the finance committee information ready for the board, and then depending on the availability of my staff, reviewing receivables, reviewing payroll workups, reviewing payables. So I couldn't really tell you what's a 3-day or what's a day in the life, because it's different every day, but there's similarities, but there's not.
How often do you get out to a school, or are you sitting at the computer all day?
I don't get out to schools that often. Only like this year I was at Powerview helping them set up CAB the one day. I was at ESS talking with them a couple days. But otherwise I talk to principals and secretaries probably every day, but it's over the phone, discussing whatever questions they have on, whether it's payables or school cash or whatever other questions they have.
Well, thanks for coming out and doing this. Jody made a comment earlier, is that there's a few people that can't make mistakes. Well, there's only one person that can't make mistakes, and that's Jody. And you're making her look good, certainly by the support that you're doing. So thanks very much for the work that you're doing, and thanks for sharing this. Very interesting, certainly, about how this is getting adopted, and we'd love to continue to hear from you or Jody, certainly, what's the uptake looks like as we move forward with it. But I can tell you as a principal, if I didn't have to handle wads of money all the time, and this is the way of doing it, I'm sure that secretaries are pretty happy about it. So thanks very much. Anyone else? Jody, do you want anything? Yep, Trev?
I think Jody mentioned it in her introduction, but it's probably just worth repeating. As a senior admin team, we regularly hear from secretaries and principals in regards to the high level of service that Matt provides to our schools. So,
thanks, Matt. We really appreciate it. Who says you can leave? You need to stay for the rest of the meeting. Go ahead. Thanks very much, Matt. We appreciate you coming. Good night. We have our minutes of our meeting of May the 5th. So be it resolved, the board adopt May the 5th meeting minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Smith and seconded by Trustee Rowan. Any questions to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you. It passed 6 with 1 abstention. Thank you. Superintendent's report, Mr. Reed.
So much of it in the superintendent's report this evening was already spoken to and shared in Share a Story, so I'll just go through quickly. We heard about Art Speak. I also had the chance to attend. Full theater, lots of energy, great place to be, great to see all the work that the students did. I'll just finish with a thank you to our Divisional Art Speak teacher, Tanya Mania, and her team of visiting artists and all of her support workers for everything that they do to make that program a success. Many people probably don't realize that it's long days for staff and students out there. They go from breakfast till bedtime until they perform on Thursday night. So thank you to everyone for their work for that program. I was at the Spring Tea in Beausejour earlier school, pouring tea. It was great to kind of mix and mingle with the students as they were serving tea and dainties to the community. Thank you to the students for their hard work and to the staff for supporting them, and thanks for the community for attending and being part of that great event at Beausejour earlier school. Our Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Fieldberg, he talked about the Unified Sports Day. Always a great day in the school division, lots of energy, 55 students from across our division. We also welcomed Whiteshell School District to participate. They were a welcome addition and happy to be here. Huge success. Lars thanked the staff here in the office that did a bunch of work. I also extend a thank you to our school teams, our student support services team at the schools for everything they do to support their students. Not just our student athletes, but all of our students, at the schools. And we heard a couple times about Youth Parliament. Had the chance to pop by there. Yeah, lots of engaging debates. Really noted that it appeared that the students seemed to be really well prepared. And so it must have been lots of good work going on at the schools before the students even arrived at the Youth Parliament. And so again, a thank you to the staff at our schools that did everything to organize the event, our division staff for organizing the event, and then all the staff that prepped the students before they got there to help make the event successful for the students. And just close, we had our monthly SELT meeting back on May 6th. As always, just a thank you to our principals. They always come, they participate, they engage, they're collaborative, they work hard on that day, and comment that we hear repeatedly is at the end of the day they go home tired because they've been working hard. So thanks to our principals, and I just shared a list of the topics that we covered at the monthly SELT meeting.
Thanks, Mr. Reed. Any comments from Mr. Reed? Did Trustee Smith or Trustee Harris see Mr. Reed with his apron on pouring tea? Because we would like to see if there was pictures taken with Mr. Reed going around. Did we happen to get any shots? Okay, Amanda. We'll have to get them up on our new social media page that we're going to start working on. So cool, nice. 6.2 is our board reporting schedule. You have that for information. Are there any comments or things that you would like to change to it? Thanks for providing that, Mr. Reed. 7.1 is our Secretary Treasurer's report. Jody?
It's everybody's favorite time of the evening, Secretary Treasurer report. There was a lot. There was 3 pages on this agenda, so I'm not going to go line by line. I think I'm going to just give a shout out for some really cool stuff that took place and good information to receive. So I've been touring the schools with ICT. It's been a while since Gord and I have toured the schools together, so as we visit the schools, I like to hear pros and cons, what's working, what's not working, what would you like to improve. And the schools that we've attended are serviced by Jordan Purvis, Brendan Black, and Kenton Lumsden. They, all of the schools that we visited have given such praise praise for these staff that I just want to give acknowledgement to the hard work. They've recognized that service is an important thing, and that has been mentioned a lot at these schools that we've toured. So I just want to give a shout out to the hard work that these staff do. Sometimes the operations staff don't see or you don't hear too much about it, but I just want to give kudos and acknowledgement of the comments that the schools have been giving. As they go through, you'll see maintenance has been really busy trying to utilize funds for the budget for next year, lining up the summer projects, as well as this year, trying to wrap up and finish this year's projects by June 30th. So there's a number of things going on. One thing that was surprising, Manitoba School Lighting Initiative is something new this year. The province has come out with a new grant that gives schools an opportunity, or school divisions opportunity, to apply for a full lighting revamp, giving the schools energy efficient lighting. This grant is a little bit different than Manitoba Efficiency, where Manitoba Efficiency will pay for a portion of the installation. This will pay 100%. There is no cost to the division. So out of all our schools, Lactobani Senior is one that's made it to the top of their list. So, we may be doing work in the near future, and we'll be talking to MJ Lighting for the next steps. But Lactobani Senior looks like they're going to get some new lights going on. The days will be brighter. So maintenance has been really busy. Transportation, we're still struggling with securing spare bus drivers. As you see in the Powerview area, we have 0 spares, so we're in a high risk of possible cancellation of a bus run if somebody falls ill unexpectedly. So we're hoping that we can drum up some more interest by bringing it to the attention. We've reached out to some of our nearby municipalities to let them know of the driver shortage, and more so in the spare pool, and hopefully we can drum up more interest. So the transportation department, though, has been busy attending school orientation and getting excited to see the new faces from the kindergartens in the upcoming fall. And then under miscellaneous, because we've been all busy, some of us here met with the town of Beausejour. Trustee Harris and Trustee Smith and myself met with the town of Beausejour on May 12th to talk about the safety at the Ecole Beausejour Early Years School and how we'd like to recognize that having a crosswalk or a sidewalk will be best served by the community. There's been talks about consideration for cost share. There's been talks about what those costs would be, and so further conversation will be had in the future when we have cost estimates brought forward. Dugald School, something new with them. We're going to pilot a full year-round before and after daycare at the school. This will include PD days and during the summer months. During the summer break. So we're going to pilot this. This is something new. No other school in our division has daycare for the school-age students during PD days. So we're going to try this out. We'll have feedback from the school and the maintenance department, because the biggest thing is the summertime we are busy doing that deep clean of the school. So we'll see if this is doable, because we do have another request from Whitemouth Daycare, who would also entertain the thought of doing a before and after school age program at the school. So at this time, Whitemouth reached out just a little too late where we can try and accommodate, but we did say, that's something that we could consider in the future. However, we have to look at staffing, the amount of staff that we can accommodate at that time during the summer months, but we'll continue this discussions, and then working with the town of Lactobani on another daycare location and seeing where we can find something. The next meeting will take place June 1st, and that should be it.
Thanks, Jody. Any questions for Jody? Any questions for Mrs. Thiessen? Trustee Rowan.
Jody, you may not have an answer to this, but I figured I'd ask the question. It says that you're working on an amended agreement for the Dugald School Daycare. And it talks about a pilot project. Do you have any idea on how long you're planning on running it as a pilot project before making a determination on whether it'll be feasible to sustain it or make changes?
We're hoping by next spring we'll have an idea if this is going to be something that we would bring up to the board and see if this is something that we'd like to make a permanent change to. But yeah, by next spring we'll have a good idea. I think we indicated in the current agreement something about 60 to 90 days prior to we renew it to have a discussion.
Just a question, what would be like the value, dollar value benefit to Lac Du Bonnet School for the Manitoba School Lighting Initiative? Like how many dollars of value of lighting is that for the school? Do we know?
That's a great question. So I don't have the information, the dollar value, but we do recognize that it'll be cost savings. So the information will be part of the application. So I wouldn't even be able to guess.
Anyone else? Thanks, Mrs. Thiessen. Appreciate it. Board business. Early years literacy screener. Who's that? Okay, Mr. Reed.
So I supplied the report and the data, comparing our fall results to our spring results on the provincially mandated early years literacy screener there. We're piloting this year, a year in advance of, the province actually requiring us to do that, but good practice for all involved. Unfortunately, the results didn't grow as much as we hoped they would. There is some modest growth in most areas, but we're still not seeing the results that we're expecting to see at some point in time as we go through sort of refining our literacy instruction and providing students who need some more help, some targeted instruction. The good news is as I reported, even though the numbers aren't growing significantly, the screener that we used in the spring screening is more difficult and measures students at a higher bar than the screener that we used in the fall. So as the year goes on and we use a screener that goes deeper into the year, it does measure students at a higher level. So it's not that our students aren't learning. There is evidence of learning taking place. It's just we still have identified a similar number of students who are at risk of showing future challenges with reading in the future. As I reported in January, the grade 1 data is still a particular concern. Going back to what's going on in our with kindergarten in the absence of a provincial literacy curriculum. So as a result, we've made the divisional decision to train our kindergarten teachers next year the same way we trained our grade 1 to 3 teachers over the last couple of years, which is with 3 full days of training on early literacy instruction. So that will be going on, trying to get our kindergarten kids jump-started. And then, sort of on the good news side of things is our teachers still report anecdotally that they're seeing growth and changes in students. It's not, showing up on the screener yet. And there could be some reasons for that, and I identified those in my January report. Most notably, teachers are still saying, the screener is a timed event, and our students aren't used to taking timed assessments, where they've only got a few seconds to respond, and if they don't, then it moves on. So there might be some curve there. Not making excuses, we still just don't know what it is. But teachers actually have gone to principals and said, we'd actually like to assess a third time. We believe that if we assess a third time, we're going to see more student growth. We think it's coming, and we want to, before the end of the year, assess one more time with the screener. So we had that conversation at the April SELT meeting going back, and principals agreed that we are going to screen a third time. And so I think that's taking place in early June. We won't have the results this year to share, but we'll bring those back for the board in either the August or September meeting to do that. So just thought it was, if teachers are asking to do it a third time because they believe that the growth is coming, that might be, a reason to be optimistic. So.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Trustee Boland?
When would a 3-day training be undertaken for these teachers?
That'll be staged out 3 days over the course of the school year. So it'll be train one day, go back and practice what you've learned, gain some feedback, come back a couple months later, 6 to 8 weeks later, go back to the classroom, try a few things, come back again. So it won't be 3 days in a row. It would be paced out over the school year.
Trevor, have you, sorry, any other questions? So have you talked to other superintendents that are just using this screener right now? And is this what we're seeing in other school divisions, or is this our school division?
No, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, I've spoken to probably a dozen, and spoken to a couple school divisions that are ahead of the curve in terms of how far they are down the path. And they've reassured us that stick with it. If you're doing the right things, the results will come. We saw these results in the first year as well. And then there's a group of superintendents that I've spoken to that are in the same place. They're piloting it this year as we are. They're saying they're seeing very, very similar results. Some are even actually saying, wow, like, you know, you've got 40% of your kids at level. We've got 5 to 10% of our kids at level. So comparatively, and then I'll speak to it now, but I was going to mention it with the continuous improvement plan. We talked about our literacy data with representatives from the province that came out to review the continuous improvement plan, and they said this type of data is very consistent with what school divisions see in the first year as they're phasing in, and they weren't surprised, you know, by this data. So we hope that that steep curve is coming very soon, and we'll be watching for it.
So in August or September, when you're going to come back to us with the third set of data, I guess the question would be, whatever the data is, what's the plan, right? Because currently right now, I think that everybody on this board would say that's not acceptable, and what do we need to go ahead and do about it? So I think that as we come through with the data, and again, maybe it's just because it is our first year as to what you're saying, but the question is going to be about what are we doing about it? Fair enough? Okay, anyone else? So for the board members, just a reminder, let's put this into our brain because August or September, we want to make sure we see this data. Trustee Rowan.
Trevor, when you talk about the fact that this is pretty typical for school divisions to see in their first year, and assuming then that things will improve with future years, should we expect to see numbers like this with our grade 1s going forward because it'll be their first year of testing, or are we expecting to see that increase because our teachers will be a little bit more experienced in the testing process and preparing the students, so then the students in turn would then be a little bit more prepared?
I would think there's probably a combination of things in there. I wouldn't expect necessarily our grade 1 data to reflect what currently our grade 2-3 data is until we do some more work with our kindergarten teachers. So that work is going to happen next year. I would expect also that as we work through that learning curve, students coming into the school with teachers who are more experienced will pick up on some of these skills more quickly, right? And so while I think, you know, maybe the best example is going forward is, you know, is the kindergarten data, you know, going to look the same as students come in every year? Quite possibly, because they've had no exposure to, you know, formal instruction and literacy, right? But I would hope that as our teachers become more comfortable with better literacy instruction and practices, we see that curve, you know, go up more quickly if our kindergarten teachers, you know, in the fall screening aren't seeing strong results.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We're going to move on to the Northeast Municipal Forum feedback. You were asked to come prepared to share a little bit about the feedback. I'm going to go round table and you can share your comments with us. You're first. Trustee Harris.
I enjoyed the day. The speaker wasn't as long as some of the other ones. No, I think it was a great day. Anytime we have a chance to meet with the municipalities and discuss stuff is great for everyone.
Just made a quick note, just that it's always a great opportunity to share successes, concerns, and challenges. Often our paths cross, and receiving feedback and ideas is helpful in helping us make decisions at our table, or to help us problem solve. And our work is both of us, it's for the benefit of our communities. And just an example is the safety concern of Bowes is your early years. I mean, it's a concern for the community, and it's a concern for our school, and you guys are working together to find a solution for it, and that's what it's all about. So going to this forum and having those discussions at the table, they get to hear what we do, and we get to hear what they do, and I think it's just a win-win for all of us.
No, I think those are getting better and better all the time, because I think there's more of a relaxed and collaborative spirit to these things as time has gone on, and I really appreciated the conversation about the IHRA, the training programs they're trying to do in our communities, and I don't know how the solution of this yet, how we can get more kids signed up for these wonderful opportunities working with those communities. I don't know the answer to that, but surely if we think about it in a synergistic way, we can come up with something and get these done for our kids. That would be awesome. Thanks.
I've seen an evolution as we've attended these meetings, and I feel like we're a lot more involved in the conversation now than we were when we first started attending these meetings, and I really appreciate the back and forth conversation. So not only are we getting to hear some of the challenges that the RMs are facing, but we're able to express some of the challenges we're facing and work on some solutions together, like having some of the RMs posting on their websites about our need for bus drivers. They may reach a broader demographic, and perhaps we'll see a solution to some of our problems that way, and we're having more open conversations than we were when I first came on, and I think that's a move in the right direction. So I appreciate having the opportunity.
Well said, Trustee Rowan. At the last Manitoba School Board Chairs meetings, I heard an awful lot of the relationships with the local municipalities and the school boards aren't going very well. So at the next, I think at the next Manitoba School Board's meeting, they've asked Sunrise for us to share a little bit about why it seems to be working well. And I think that it's working well, just kind of what you talked about, Melissa. It's about the interaction. It's about, Lorraine, what you said is about us working together. We've been going to those meetings for a number of years, and right around we were getting lambasted around tax time. Well, we're not getting lambasted around tax time now, because we are having those conversations up front, and of course they're all asking us to be fiscally responsible, but they're having a way better understanding now as we're communicating with them. So I think that our relationships with the municipalities, whether we're working kind of from your group that you had, Melissa, to the Bossier group that's going on, to what's going on in Lac du Bonnet for the daycare, for the future school in the Springfield area. I think that there's been some really good collaboration that's working, and for us to want it, well, I think that we've all said that we want to continue with that, so that's really good to see. Anyone else want to add? So nice work. 8.3 is the Continuous Improvement Plan meeting update. That's Mr. Reed.
So we did have the chance to meet with representatives from the province around our Continuous Improvement Plan. It's an annual meeting. It just happened much later this year than it happened in previous years. So as you can see on the list, we had a couple of the assistant deputy ministers out, which is always nice to have them out to the school division, as well as a couple of the other senior managers in their departments. representing Sunrise were myself and Assistant Superintendent Fielberg and our 2 division principals. And we had the chance to sit down for a couple hours and talk about some of our divisional initiatives related to our priority areas. I would say that the feedback was sincere, and the provincial reps were, they indicated that they were impressed with the information that we shared. Just a couple of highlights there as they really flagged on our use of data. They thought that we were collecting good data and using it to make decisions going forward. Related to that, they thought that the PD that we were offering our teachers in the school division was responsive to teacher needs and to the system to support student learning. They did comment on, they felt that we had a strong approach to literacy in terms of the work we were doing there. Again, when we talked about the results, they said it was very typical. They were supportive, and they thought that the results would come based on the work that we were doing. And they also flagged some of the good work that we were done around treaty education, Indigenous education, and our use of the Elders and Knowledge Keepers grant. We also pulled up our attendance data, and because we've talked about some concerns that we've had around attendance. Province didn't share our concerns, which I was a little bit surprised by, but they said, well, if that's the attendance you're getting, that's actually some of the stronger data that we see. That's not too bad. I don't think we'll take that and walk away with it and be satisfied. We're still going to continue to work on improving attendance in Sunrise. I just thought that was an interesting perspective to share. So traditionally, the province does follow up with a formal report, so we'll look forward to getting that formal written report to them and see if they have any more strategies or insights in terms of how we can improve student learning in Sunrise.
So it's kind of like a report card for us back from the province. And the initial conversation I think that you're having, Mr. Reid, is that's positive. It'll be interesting to see what the report comes back from written. But anybody want to make comment or have questions for Mr. Reid? Okay, thank you. 8.4 is the Town of Beausejour zoning bylaw. Jody, did you want to add anything to that? It's there for information.
Yeah, nothing really further to add, just to identify that the Town of Beausejour is going through a vigorous rezoning bylaw. The first draft that we saw was only draft for the Division I's to provide comment. This one is now circulated publicly with, I believe, the first reading that was done last week. So if there's any feedback or concerns that the school division may have, we can forward it on to the town. I think our biggest concern is any subdivisions that are anticipated to occur, that they have adequate sidewalks and areas that we can stop a school bus for common bus pickup and drop off. So those are things that's going into a letter that we're going to identify, and of course request the 10% and stick with our regular requests that we make. But again, seeing that we're dealing with a subdivision that doesn't have adequate sidewalks, that's something we're going to put in the letter.
Perfect. Any comments or questions, Trustee Smith?
There are a number of locations that are being rezoned into multi-dwelling facilities down on the north end by the museum, and they're extending a road out that way, and some more areas closer to our school, and one at the end of Ashton is going into a multi-level complex. So I'm just thinking those ones we might have to keep an eye on, because those potentially could be bringing in a lot of students into our schools. And that one, they're going to have to be building a road that doesn't exist right now. Like, I drove out there and checked on it as well. So that's the only concern I could see, is the extra students coming into our schools on those new zoning areas.
We'll be lucky. Yeah, good for bringing that up. Thank you for that. Any other comments about the zoning bylaw? Information, questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thiessen. Capsule virtual attendance. So I know you're still working on that written report for us. Okay. So there is do you want to talk about the potential motion about the capsule, the conference?
Yes, in the past, we did make it available, so if any trustees wanted to go and read the articles that were present at the conference, they could do that. I just wanted to make the motion for them to be able to do that, if they wanted to.
Okay, so just to clarify, this would be, do we know when these articles are coming available? Okay. So you're wanting to, the potential motion be it resolved that the board approve trustees or certain trustees or whatever to attend the Capsule 2026 conference virtually? And what is this in, so if you're willing to put that on, let's get it on the table and then we'll have some discussion about it. So is that the motion that you want to make? Okay, so that's the motion that you want to make. Okay, I need a seconder to that motion. You're going to second the motion? Okay, thanks, Diane. Okay, so comment. Go ahead. You have the first and last. Did you want to add anything? Trustee Smith, did you want to add anything to the motion? Okay. Trustee Rowan.
I know a couple of years ago when we did this, we had a cutoff date because when we budget for Capsule 2026, we try and keep that within this school year. So I would propose that if we are doing this, that we try and have any of that PD done by the end of June, just so that we're keeping it within the school year.
Any other questions? Trustee Wilson.
I'm just wondering what the cost is involved.
So there's no, as far as I know, there's no cost. There's just the reason we're passing this motion is so trustees would get paid for either the half day or full day. It's an honor system for their view of the slides. So it's basically passing a motion so you can review the PD and get compensated.
So the question, I guess this is opening, and I guess we did do it. But then again, I guess if any other trustee goes to a conference and brings back reading material, is that reading material then made available to anyone that wants to take it? And we would pass a motion to have somebody go ahead and read that so that they could receive dollars for professional development. That's really what's the conversation. So I think that's the conversation that we're having. Trustee Rowland?
In this particular scenario, Capsule provides extensive data reporting regarding all the presentations, most of the presentations that are made. It's extensive, and we can't send everybody in person to the conference, so this has been an opportunity for others to review the latest legal information relating to education online and without the additional cost of sending a person to the event.
So do we have this information anywhere? So right now, is this information available? And so is it 10 articles? Is it, I don't know what it is. So what is it, Trustee Smith? It's just questions for clarification for me, sorry.
So I just went onto the website, and for all of the presentations, there are articles on the presentations on there. So it doesn't look like their actual slide decks are on there, but there's like pages, like they made them into articles instead of the slide deck, is what it looks like.
So someone has written a commentary about the presentation?
I guess what I would just say to that is historically the slide decks and the presentations have been made available to all of us as members, and and could look at it any time. We're all members of Capsule, so we could go online. There's usually an extensive library to that. I'm not sure. This is actually very recent, like she's saying today, so I'm not sure the information is even there right now. I would like the opportunity to maybe, if I had the time before the end of June, to maybe look at some of that stuff, because I always find that so interesting. It may not happen for me, but if there was a motion, I would like to be approved to try to fit a half day in of reviewing materials. But in the past, it's been very informative, and it's been a lot. It's all the presenters, the different sessions and whatnot that are provided to us.
Anyone else? Trustee Harris?
I would be interested in which trustees would want to do this.
Okay, so Trustee Harris is asking which trustees would be interested in doing this. But if we're going to allow, my opinion is if we're going to allow one, we're going to allow, obviously we're going to allow everyone to go ahead and do it. And it's either, I guess, we're paying someone to do it, to read for 3 hours or to read for 6 hours. This is really, Jody, that's what it is? Okay. So the question is, I think Trustee Harris is putting out to you, who would be interested in doing this? I think, Diane, you've said that you're interested in doing it. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Now, Trustee Dent isn't here, but Trustee Boyton, comment?
Like, I just thought that the reason that we send people to these conferences is so they come back, kind of critique and come back with a summary, so we can kind of, get a feel for what might be important to us. And I think that, by doing this, and like, I'll be voting against this, because I feel that I'd like to see her report, read it, and if I do want to read anything else, I can. But I thought that's why we're trying to save money, so we send 1 or 2 people, not everybody. So if we can see everything online, then why are we bothering sending people out and having the flights and the hotels and everything? Why don't we just all put it in our one day and read it and be done with it? So I will vote against this, because I'd like to just read what your report would have to say, and I wouldn't be putting in any indemnity for that.
I was just thinking that I couldn't get to everything, so there might be other things that people might want to read about that I couldn't get to. That was my thought process.
Trustee Wilson?
My thought is I'd like the opportunity to read the articles, but I'm really not interested in being reimbursed for the time.
Trustee Rowan?
I second those sentiments. I found that I've looked at the information in years past, and I don't get as much out of those as if I were to attend in person, which obviously attending in person would be the preferable method there. Jody, Trevor, can you confirm it's still password protected to access these? Because I feel we had a membership one year and there was a password and whatnot that we needed.
Yeah, so the school division has a total membership, we have a membership for the division, and we just have to make sure that you're up to date with registration. We have to submit to Capsule to make sure that they have the right people under the membership title. So, I think there'll be some legwork for Sarah to make sure that the trustees that want to go online are available to go online and update the password.
And is there a cost to the division for us to just go and look at the documents through that if Capsule has all of our information?
No cost. We already pay for the membership annually, so there's no cost for updating or confirming your password and email and username. Nothing like that. No cost associated.
So then regardless of the outcome of this vote, is it possible to have that sent out to trustees so they have access to it, please?
So I guess the question is, trustees are going to have access to the information. It's whether we're using PD dollars to go ahead and do this. Okay. Whether people can do PD. So, okay.
And I totally agree with all that. But then I wouldn't provide reports back to the board on my knowledge is what the difference would be. For attending a PD, I would have to do reports back
to get reimbursed $80. So I will, you know, fine, we could all look at our own stuff, but that's what we're talking about here. Save $2,000 from attending or...
Any other comments? So last comment, Trustee Smith. Robert's rules, I was told that I need to go ahead and do that, right? Since you told me Robert's rules. All right, Trustee Smith.
Yeah, I only brought this up because we did do it last year, so I just thought maybe I'd open it up to see if anybody wanted to do it. Basically, that's thought I'd give the opportunity.
That's fine. And can we amend the date? So go ahead. What do you want to do?
I would just ask that anybody that's wanting to do this PD, that it be completed by the end of June.
Okay, so there's an amendment here saying is that be it resolved that the board approve trustees to attend the Capsule 2026 conference virtually by deadline of June 30th to submit expense reports. Because really that's what we're doing. Okay? So are you okay with that amendment? And Diane, are you okay with that amendment? No, but first she said yes, and now it's to you? All right. Okay. You got that amendment, Ms. Scott? Thank you. Okay. So be it resolved that the board approve trustees to attend the Capsule conference virtually by June 30th to claim expenses, to claim the PD expense. All right? Anyone else? Okay. No one else? We'll vote. So it passed 4-3. Okay. Let's move on. IRHA 8.6. Thank you. So this is, and I think Sarah, you were the one that sent out an invitation, and there was those two trustees that said they would like to go. So if there's a third trustee that wants to put his name in there, is he going to get tar and feathered? Ooh, okay, so he would get tar and feathered. Okay, so we won't do that. All right. So be it resolved that the board approve. Yep. Be it resolved that the board approve Trustee Smith and Trustee Boytson to attend the IRHA Health Workforce Coalition meeting June the 4th, 9:30 to 12:30 in Selkirk. So moved by Trustee Rowland, seconded by Trustee Rowin. Okay. Comments, Trustee Boytson?
If somebody else wanted to go in my place, that would be fine. I just know that we've expressed an interest at the municipal forum to be invited to these meetings. When the invitation went out, I thought somebody has to go to it, and I wasn't sure if any other trustees were responding, so I thought, well, I'll put my name in and then we can discuss it tonight. So if there's somebody else that would like to go in place of me, I'm game for that, but I do feel that we need to have somebody there attending this meeting.
Comments from anyone? So why Trustee Magna kind of put it forward is because I thought that I wasn't available on from 9:30 to 12:30. I probably want to roast my kid there a little bit, you know, about going. So if I've been, again, if it's something that we need to figure out because you can't go, great. Otherwise, I'm good. No, we'll stick with the June 4th date, and you know what? If it's a switch, we'll switch, but we're good. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 7-0. Thank you for that. Exterior masonry cleaning. This is you, Mrs. Thiessen. Oh, the motion first. Thank you. Be it resolved that the board approve the recommended vendors Lanouette Consulting, ALA Masonry and Contracting, and WRJ Window Cleaning for proposal 22-26 exterior masonry cleaning services to the locations of Gillis, EBYS, SBC, and Lactabani Senior School. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Rowan and seconded by trustee Rowland. Are there any questions to this? We're good? All right. No questions. Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 7-0. Thank you for that. 8.8 is the first reading of the Religious Instruction Bylaw 385-26 for Ecole Dougal. Be it resolved, the board approve the first reading of the Religious Instruction Bylaw 385-26 for Ecole Dougal School. A new mover, trustee Rowland, and a seconder, trustee Boytson. Any comments to the bylaw? Hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 7-0. Thank you for that. 8.9. Be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Springfield Collegiate Institute Rugby Provincials trip to Brandon, June 5 and 6, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by trustee Rowland and seconded by trustee Boytson. So they made the provincials? Mr. Reed?
I'm not sure if they have to qualify for that. Rugby's so small enough sport that they have to.
Okay. Any questions on that? Good for SCI. Hearing none, we'll vote. Passed 7-0. Thank you. Be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Ecole Parview School Grade 9 camping trip to Mascot Project September 15th and 16th, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by trustee Smith and seconded by trustee Harris. Any questions on the trip? Hearing none, we'll vote. When did the schools find out about that this passed or not? How did they find out? It passed 7-0. Okay.
They're all watching online right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But some, you know what, this Powerview School camping trip, I got called a couple of times and people say, hey, Paul, did you vote in favor? And I said, oh, of course I did, so. Committee reports. Policy Committee, trustee Rowan, you're the chair. Anything that you want to add to this?
Yes, thank you. So we did meet on May 12th and the minutes are attached. So I just wanted to bring attention to the fact that we have been doing a bill review based on bills that were passed in the past year that may affect us. And one of the things that we have had a lot of conversation about recently has been our treaty acknowledgement and treaty acknowledgement procedure that all divisions will be responsible for having. We have created one at this point. However, we're pretty early in the process as far as divisions that have already created their procedures. So we've made the decision to look at it again in the fall. So the committee will take a look again in September or October before the new board comes on. And I also just wanted to mention that the couple of changes that trustee Boytson had mentioned in the operational bylaw have been made for our discussion at our last board meeting. No, I don't have any additional comments.
Any comments from anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 7-0. Thank you. We have operational bylaw 384-26. Be it resolved, the board approve the third reading of the operational bylaw 384-26. Moved by Trustee Boytson and seconded by Trustee Rowan. Any questions on the third reading? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 7-0. Thank you for that. Our Finance Committee, Trustee Chair Boytson. Any comments from our trustee, from our Finance Committee?
No, not right now. Our meeting is on Thursday.
Thank you. We don't have anything from the foundation, and we don't have anything from the Ad Hoc Land Planning Committee. No. Okay. Professional development. Trustee gathering on education, innovation, and reconciliation in Whistler. Do we have anybody attending that? You're going, Trustee? Mm-hmm. And you're going? We're letting you go? Okay. All right. That'll be good. I just heard about there's going to be about a 30-page report coming, from it. Didn't I hear that? All right. That's great. Thank you. We talked about the capsule conference 9.2. Thank you. Divisional financial summary. So one of the questions that has come up is that we have it down in 10.1, and there's been some discussion around moving the divisional financial summary up earlier into our meeting because I think Trustee Boytson, you made the comment is that there's some really good information there, and we necessarily sometimes don't take enough time to take a look at that information. So if there's not an objection, can we move the divisional financial summary report, whether it's into the Secretary Treasurer's report or if there's a better place for it, but it's just moving it up so we give it a higher value for us to go ahead and take a look at it. Is there any people don't like that idea? Put it that way. Okay, so is it okay if it goes into with is that okay? Yes. So we'll go into this. So I think that from now on we'll put it into the Secretary with the Secretary Treasurer's report. We'll put the divisional summary in there as well. Sarah, please and thank you. Okay, thank you for that. Sarah's been sending us all the board correspondence, so you have that information. Nice to know. Sarah, thanks for putting all that information together about nice to know information as to where things are going. Yeah, upcoming meetings, June the 2nd and June the 16th, and graduation's right around the corner for us. Jody, do we have any questions from the public?
I've been so distracted about being excited about the divisional financial summary being brought up further, I forgot to check. So it looks like no, there's no meeting, no further questions.
And the only thing that so no questions on 15 is the MSBA correspondence. Just publicly so you know, MSBA now no longer has Alan Campbell as the president of the Manitoba School Boards Association, and as soon as if they appoint someone in the interim or we elect someone, we'll keep everybody posted when that comes through. Thanks for putting that information in there, Sarah. We do need to move back into in-camera. Question is, do we have any motions that are coming out of in-camera? We will?
We usually have.
Okay, so there may be. So we will, we'll have to wait. If anybody's online, we'll have to wait. We cannot close our meeting. I think we could probably make that motion now. Yeah. Right? So you're going to make the motion. Oh, we're going to make a motion. So we're going to make a motion. So about our parent and student presentation tonight that happened in camera. So the motion that is going to come through from our discussions in camera would be it resolved that the board direct the superintendent to respond to the parent delegation as discussed. Are we good with that motion? Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Boyton, seconded by trustee Wilson. Any questions to that motion? Any comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Sarah, you're right on the ball. Before you vote? Before you close? Sure. So it passed 6-0, just so that you, just for the record. Trustee Rowan was not involved in the discussion. She excused herself from this, and trustee Deck wasn't here. Thank you. So before we close, trustee Boyton.
I know we talked about the divisional summary being moved, and I just wonder, maybe it's up to Jody, if it would better be in with the financial stuff or in with the secretary treasurer's report. Because we do have, when we have our finance meeting, we have our minutes in there and our check registry. Maybe that would be a good spot to have the divisional summary because it is the financials. So, but, I mean, I'm just open to the board that maybe leave it up to you as to where you think it would fit better, if the board would be okay with that.
I think that we're correct about that we're not going to have any other motions coming out of in-camera. Okay, so that we can close our meeting, but we do need to go back into in-camera, so let's take a minute or two. The meeting's adjourned.